Good morning and welcome back to Community Couch Time. Special day, el 5 de Mayo. And so for today, I want to continue with the topic of the month, which is mental health awareness, and also the topic of Asian American heritage, which I'm going to get a little bit better into as the days go by within the month. But today, being el 5 de Mayo, I wanted to talk about how sometimes things occur to us like on a very personal level, and I kind of shared a little bit yesterday about some things like divorce in my family that had an impact on me on a personal level. But I want to also talk about how sometimes there are things that are happen on this like grander scale, and it has an impact on us and how we feel about ourselves, but we may not necessarily be able to pinpoint it unless we seek the knowledge, unless we really pay attention, or unless sometimes if we take, like, let's say an ethnic studies class. And so for today, what I want to talk about is how a lot of times our history and who we are and where we come from is not taught to us in schools. It's not encouraged. There are lots of negative stereotypes that prevent us from really knowing who we are and really being proud of our heritage. And so an example of that would be like today, el 5 de Mayo. So if it wasn't for quarantine and all these stay-at-home orders, today would be a day that many mainstream Americans would refer to as, Cinco de Drinko, or just other dumb things like that. And they would really celebrate it as an opportunity to go and get drunk. Yeah, to go to the bars, to party, to wear fake mustaches and other stereotypical, garb, right? But really, we know that El 5 de Mayo has a history behind it that is extremely important in the history of Mexico specifically, the Battle of Puebla, and is not a holiday that should be known for drinking. So we're gonna move on a little bit from there, and I'm gonna show you some pieces of literature that have been written to sort of combat the negative stereotypes. So what we refer to as counter narrative, right? Like pushing back on the narrative that has been created around us, right? So culture clash, right? And so these are three Salvadoran and Chicano comedian actors, writers, amazing activists who essentially what they do, they create really cool skits. They actually interview people that have had an impact. So for instance, people crossing the border, they've actually gone out to the border and they've interviewed people. So they've brought in this like journalistic element into their comedy, but most importantly, they teach us about what's really going on out there. You all read something from this book, Real Women Have Curves and Other Plays, Josefina Lopez, who's from right here in Boyle Heights. And so this is a great book that kind of helps you to get to know, a little bit more about who you are and your history and the possibilities, right? This one here, 450 years of Chicano history and pictures. There's an updated one. There's a 500 years of Chicano history and pictures, and then there's one that is on Chicanas and pictures, 500 years of Chicanas and pictures. But this one is special to me because my dad was part of the publication of it in the early 80s in New Mexico. And this is a book that has been banned. It was banned in Arizona. And so when you think of a book being banned, you think of like, why? Like, what is so powerful about this book that somebody would want to ban it? As they say, a book worth banning is a book worth reading. And so Occupied America, this is written by Rodolfo Acuna, who was a longtime professor here at Cal State Northridge, an activist, a great thinker, historian, who really breaks down a lot of the things that historically have happened in the US in Occupied America. This one, I really love the title, right? It's New Native American writing, but the name is Genocide of the Mind. It's not just your person, but it's your mind too. Like, if you do not know your history, a genocide has been created. I have a lot of books. So I'm not gonna go through all my books. I just pulled out a couple that were right here behind me. So this is a beautiful one, I, Rigoberta Menchú, an Indian woman in Guatemala. This is a really good book written by Rigoberta Menchú herself, of her experience growing up. Knowing that history and being aware and starting to understand it is like part of the process of being able to work to eradicate those things from happening. That's how I feel. And the last one I'm going to show you today is Ringside Seat to a Revolution. This poor book is really beat up. I've used it a lot over the years, but it's a very, very cool book that kind of shows the impacts of the Mexican Revolution, not just in Mexico, but also like in the border, in specifically like in the El Paso del Norte border, also in New Mexico in the area. But very powerful, very easy to read, very, very beautiful book. And so when I think of these books, to me, I think of learning of yourself and coming to a place where you can heal. And so not just yourself, but other people that have shared experiences. So for me, what I really want to start doing is start reading more books on our Asian American brothers and sisters, and how we have come together in solidarity, and also how we have some shared experiences, some that are different, but we should always remain in solidarity with one another. And for me, that is a mental health care, like self-care, because knowing who you are, knowing where you come from, knowing the truth, seeking the truth, for me is like not allowing negativity, not allowing lies, not allowing erasure to disrupt who I am and how I feel about myself, how I feel about my people. So for your Community Couch Time Daily Journal, you are going to write about a history that you would like to know more about, like something that for you, if you were to learn more about, would be healing for you.